For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.
We're live on YouTube and Facebook. It's the show that has 6 weeks to go. It's hyped up for the return of KL Hero and our new captain, Blake Brayley. This is the ET Stand, the Cronulla Sharks fan podcast that lets its talking do the football. Give us a like on this video and subscribe to the channel so you can be notified of our upcoming videos. I can confirm that I think I've lined up a champion Sharks player interview, an award-winning Sharks player too, which could be good, pretty good. So get your subscribes in for the channel, and so you can also be notified of all of our upcoming content. If you're on audio on delay, shout out to our gang on Spotify, Apple Pods, and wherever else you might be wanting or listening to us right now. Now, guys, good news. The comment competition, it's back. So, comment competition is back. So get involved in the show in the comments. Who do you think should have been the Sharks captain? Do you agree with Brails or should it have been someone else? Because our friends at displayware.com.au are going to give away another of the displayware units. I think I've got one in my background. If you can see my window there. I haven't set up my proper studio thing yet, but yeah, you get into the draw. The toilet inspector, the Wires Up TV guy, took the prize last time. There's a bit to cover tonight. So we've got, as we head into the end of the season, so we're going to go through what needs to happen for the Sharks to make the top four. Franko says that it's two key things. We'll talk to that. We're going to discuss the new captain, the ins and outs of the Newcastle game. We have to decide if we're going to miss Josh Hannay, the defensive coach and assistant coach of the Sharks, and a whole bunch of other carry on. But let's get the boys in. Matty Williams is here. And can I just ask you, Matthew, where will you be in 6 weeks' time or 6 weekends' time?
I booked a camping trip a long time ago, reverse psychology. So, look, if the Sharks make it to the first Sunday in October at Homebush, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But that was my plan. I had a plan to go away in 2016 as well. After camping.
Yeah, I think you might be safe with the camping trip. And a man who doesn't need a comment competition to inspire his profound commentaries and brilliance, Stephen Franklin. Hello and welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Oh, wait, it's always good here. And you are going to judge the comments.
Oh, so okay. I'll keep close.
What are you looking for? What are you looking for in a top comment?
Oh, I think humour generally goes a long way with this competition, but something inspiring, something that makes me think, that'll probably be good as well.
All right. Well, Harley Wan is in the comments. Shark Girls, one game, and Jada Taylor is back on the field. And SJD is confirming that his hero has returned. I don't think either of those two will win. Scotty McLaren, if I win the comment, can you ship it to Korea? Yeah, I think so. Yes. If you win. So hopefully you don't.
We're a global podcast bringing the Sharks to the world.
Oh, yes, but hopefully you don't. All right, let's get into it. The Sharks News social segment. Actually, we haven't done little side panels for a little while. There we go. The Sharks News now. That's his away. So he's done most of these up for me. So I'll do my best to do the best Lats impression that I can as I fix up that screen and get rid of that little white box there at the bottom. All right, the Sharks News segment is brought to you by our friends at Solve Accounting. For all of your bookkeeping and accounting needs, give Phil and the team a call. Link in the comments, and that's who I use for my business. All right, let's get into it. Bit happening on the Sharks front. So Josh Hannay was officially announced yesterday that the Gold Coast Titans are parting ways with coach Des Asler at season ends, and Sharks assistant coach Josh Hannay will be taking over as the new head coach. Lucky Francis isn't on tonight. Head job coach. That was met with mixed emotion across the socials, with plenty of Sharks fans pointing out Hannay's record when he was the caretaker coach not being that great, and plenty of other people excited about the prospect of getting a new assistant coach in the doors that will hopefully focus on more attack. There are also a few stating he should be our current head coach. So a bit of a maxed bag along there with Josh Hannay. Congratulations, Josh Hannay, club legend, played a few seasons for us. Happy to see anyone come into the Sharks and move on. We're going to discuss that as an entire segment later. I'll be keen to hear Franko's view on Josh Ane. I can already feel him lining it up in the chamber. So we'll go through that. All right, Marween Harodi has done what Daniel Atkinson didn't in knocking back an offer from arch rivals, the St. George Illawarra Dargans, to remain a Shark for the 2026 season. Fans were elated across the socials, given how strong he has been for us when fit this season, covering multiple outside back injuries, given Marween was on a relatively low contract with us, and the Dragons' offer was reportedly to be significantly higher. It just goes to show Marween's integrity and love for the playing group of the Sharks. Just want to say, Marine Harodi, you are clearly a favourite of this show now. You've won Let's Over, and I, for one, would never, ever get you mixed up with anyone else on our team. It's got to be happy with Marween Harodi re-signing with the Sharks.
Can I just say that that's an interesting one? I don't know. We haven't seen any official signing news for him at the Sharks yet.
No.
So he hasn't been signed at the Sharks yet, and he's turned down the Dragons' offer. Obviously, that means we're talking to him, and he knows that something is likely to be coming. He's been a 1 season a year, 1 year contracts for the last 3 or 4 years, even a development train and trial basically contract last season. So he's sort of dipped in on the edge of the abyss and come back again. Certainly no doubting, I think, from a lot of Sharks fans that he deserves a contract. But given the story about him thinking that he's going to commit himself to the Sharks and win a spot in the first grade side, I mean, there's only 2 real options there for him, isn't it? One would be Jesse Ramy and the other one would be Will Kennedy. So interesting times there, and I'm keen to see him try and prove his worth and get into the club, because we know he's picked up a lot of skills and through toiling away through the lower grades. But it's an interesting scenario that he's committed his allegiance to the Sharks, where basically, as I said, they're the 2 pathways to first grade, as opposed to the Dragons, where who knows where he could end up. There's plenty of options there.
Maybe he's just happy being a squad player, Franko.
Could be.
Look, the Sharks typically, when they say that they're about to re-sign someone, typically do. So it was reported on. We haven't said
we were going to re-sign him. Is my point? He said.
Oh, it's reported on NRL Central that he's in discussions.
Okay,
I reckon it's happening. Maddie, can you come out of the wilderness and answer this? Have the Sharks ever said they're re-signing someone and lost them?
I'm having a complete brain blank.
I can't think of any.
To recall the press conference for
Snowden.
The prop that went to the night. Snowden. I mean, that Mooney's changed his way that he does business and announces things there, because pen hadn't gone to paper and Tinkler stole him from under our noses.
But I guess again, this isn't us saying that we're talking about him. This is rumor mongering saying that we're talking to him. So slightly different scenarios.
All right. On to the next. The Jersey Flag squad scored a nice little 22-16 points victory over the Silktails in Nadi, Fiji over the weekends, with tries to Felix Fatili, Richard Whalebone, and a double to Taj Ford. Jeez, Fatili and Ford, they get a lot of tries. Were enough to get the job done. There were some great little posts on the show socials of the boys getting amongst it with embracing the Fijian culture, so be sure to go check them out. The boys now sit 3rd on the ladder and go on to play the 12th place Seagulls at Brookvale, the last game of the regular season, at midday this Sunday. The Jets, the Newtown Jets, the 4th place Jets, fresh off a bye last week, have an important game to lock in a top 4 spot at the conclusion of the regular season, when they'll take on the 11th place Manly Seagulls at 4 Pines Park after the flag match at 2 p.m. this coming Sunday. NRLW, bit happening here. The NRLW squad had a nice 22-14 win over the Ladies Wars at the FMG Stadium in Waikato, Hamilton over the weekend, which saw the return of fan favourite and friend of the show, Jada Taylor, off the bench. It tries to Steph Faulkner, Kathy Staples, and a double to Emma Veron. Geez, Veron was good in that game. Were enough to steal the deal. The win sees the girls sit in the 4th, and they go on to play the 5th place Newcastle Knights at Shark Stadium this Sunday, where Caitlin Johnson-Green will square up against her own club. We're going to discuss the NRLW team and that spine reshuffle. I thought they looked pretty good against the Wars, so hats off to the girls, and good to see Jada Taylor returning to the team. Lastly, the big piece of news. The Sharks have announced the team to take on the Knights, with the most notable selection being that of Blake Brayley as the new captain of the Sharks. We put a poll up on YouTube, Franko inspired, and whilst it wasn't unanimous, that Blake did, however, receive 57% of the total vote, and we confirmed we had quite a few voters, with Teague and Nico respectively sitting around 14% each, respectively. New NRL Central is also reporting on Twitter that Brayley is close to re-signing with the Sharks until the end of 2030. He was also at the press conference on Channel 9 talking about how he wants to stay with the Sharks for life. That's also reported that chats are also ongoing with Kennedy, Stone Street, and Hiroti. Interesting if the Sharks re-signed all of those three, and we'll no doubt cover them in an upcoming Franko contract video in the future. Just want to say this before we get into this segment. I think this is a bigger news item than maybe is being led on here. The captain of the team is a statement. And there is a common thought that your captain can often be the best player in your team, or should be the best player in your team, and is a nod to the future. And so the question I'm asking, and it's rhetorical, is Brayley our top performer right now? Kind of tough to argue with that. And at the start of the season, I predicted that Nico would usurp Cam McInnes as the captain. Moving on from Cam at captain didn't happen the way I was expecting. As much as Brayley might have won the spot, I worry for us that Nico might have just lost it. And that might be more telling. Franko, give us your reaction to Brayley being named as the new captain of the Sharks.
Yeah, look, for me, that was a no-brainer. I'm pretty sure that was where it was heading. Whether or not Nico wanted it, I think is the bigger question, because I know you were kind of gunning for that result, but he, in my opinion, had an opportunity to get captaincy previously, and that never happened. I think it's just something that he's either not wanting, or is happy to sort of not take on that extra responsibility. For Brayley himself, though, yeah, you're right. He's one of the better players in the club, if not the best at this point in time. He's an 80-minute player. He's not missed a game for a couple of seasons. He's always on the field. He's able to be there and question the ref and drive standards. He trains really hard. So he ticks all those boxes. But also, and I think this is a key component as part of the captaincy announcement, in conjunction with his contract negotiations. I wonder if there's any part played there, because he's certainly become a bit more focal for the Sharks in terms of marketing campaigns, in terms of presence on the website, photos through NRL.com. His profile is being elevated at the club, and I think that's sort of going hand in hand with both captaincy and potentially being made a lifetime Sharks player.
Matty, Sharks captains, how many have we had? Where is Brayley going to sit amongst these? And also, as you're answering this and talking to it, somehow, I don't know, give us your take on Brayley as the captain. I know,
Yeah, so we've had 58 total. Cam McInnes on Wikipedia, so Rugby League Project we love their data, not as easily accessible when it comes to captains. 58 so far, so Brayley is 59th, which is really interesting. Actually hasn't been updated. So I'd say Wilton was 59th, and looking at this, so that makes Blake 60th. Good call. I think that Nico has proven to be a leader of the team, but he's got a lot on his plate. So who's next up is either down to Teague or Brayley. Teague, they gave it to last year, but I think Brayley may be looking to the future with his form, especially, and maybe leadership in the middle of the field, and how many press conferences he's been to and the like, and allowing Wilson to develop a bit more as a player. I think it's a good shout. Is it long term? Remains to be seen, but I think it might be based on all indications.
well, you can't see Cam McInnes coming back, can you, Franko? I think he might be done.
Well, he's already signed for next year, so he's
But it's
definitely
12
going to be
months.
back. 12 months, yeah. So, they won't have him sit out when he's fit and available. I think he would be tearing strips off walls if we don't let him get on the field when he's fit and ready to go, prove his worth, prove his commitment to the club. He's not a shirker, so he'll be willing to get back on the field. Whether or not we give him the captaincy again for, if he has signed with the Bears or some other club, whether we give him the captaincy back for a 3 or 4 game stint is to be determined. but he'll be back for the club. The captaincy, however, is a big question mark.
All right. Well, look, Brack Brayley, congratulations on becoming the Sharks captain number 60 or whatever the number is. Maybe we should go work out that number and Sharks and make a bigger deal out of it. He's a lovely character, Blake Brayley. He even signed my little signed ahead thing for me. Look at that. Blake Brayley. There he is. New captain of the Sharks, and said, to the ET stand, best in the business. There he is.
Well done.
So,
I don't actually see that extra comment other than the signature, but
well, it's on his head. It's across his hairline, so it doesn't really work. So
I'll take your
Quite
word
the
for it.
compliment.
nah, he's a legend, Blake Brayley. We do love Blake Brayley. I guess I'm just a bit disappointed for Nico, given where I just wish Nico was the undisputed captain of the Sharks, because if he was, then that would indicate that he was just in electric form. He's in pretty good form, but he's just not an electric, is I guess my worry on that take. But we'll move on. All right, let's go through some of these comments. So Benny Turner in the comments says, what am I going to do in Tuesday nights in 6 weeks' time? Well, Benny, in 6 weeks' time, we will be doing the post-grand final show of the ET stand, and it will be us celebrating because, in fact, didn't we say, Franko, if we win post-debrief, we just go online live for the debrief until we don't have anyone watching. We just keep going.
Correct.
We
Yep.
just said that we just keep going.
There's people watching. We're going to keep going, whether that's 5 hours, 10 hours, 24 hours. We're
just
down
gonna
to
keep
one
going.
person. We're going to ramble and rant.
We're just going to keep going. Matty, surely you'll be able to get in for 20 minutes of that show if it goes 48
Oh,
hours.
certainly. I'll call from somewhere. That's for sure. If it's going that long, I'll be in for a shift, I suppose.
Right. Sounds good. Now, Benny Turner, your questions on YouTube are going to be answered in the last segment. So your questions went up on YouTube. I thought we'd give you an entire segment. So well done, my friend Benny. SJD in the comments is asking, Williams, who's your barber? I'm getting married next week. I need a good recommendation.
Twofold. SJD, massive congratulations. Great timing for a wedding too. Is that before final series? Unlike
It's
one
a
of our
terrible time.
commenters on Discord, Hugh Cox, who got married first week of the finals in 2015. Good timing there, and congratulations. Barber, thank you for the compliment. My barber, I'll go to a few. Is a legend called Dan, who's up in the Hawkesbury area near where I live, Richmond area. But if you're looking more local in the Shire, big shout out to Costa in Gymea. And also there's some competitors of his, but Barber's Point, the guys there do a pretty good job as well.
No, you've got to go to Shark Cage.
True. I forgot about them.
Shark Cage.
At Gorilla. There you go.
Go down to
There's
Shark
plenty of
Cage.
options. SJD, you'll have plenty of options there.
Spoken by people that actually care about their hair.
Unfortunately,
I've got a guy.
I wouldn't know who cuts my hair.
Who cuts your hair, Franco?
No
Your
idea.
wife
Just
cut your
wherever I
hair?
happen to be walking past and think it's getting a bit long, should get a haircut.
Yeah, fair enough. All right.
Maybe
Scotty McLaren in the comments says, I think Hannay played more for Como than he did for the Sharks. Did he play for Como or
True.
Gymea? Or was it
Correct.
Brett Seymour who played for Gymea?
No,
Brett's
Hannay
got
got,
Hannay for Kano.
Hannay got dumped by Ricky because he wasn't a Ricky signing, and they
Didn't
didn't
like
get
him.
off onto a good foot. I think he only played one game for the Sharks, Williams. Maybe you can confirm.
Who, Hannay? No, he played more than that.
It wasn't
Was it
many
at
more
most-
if he
At
was.
most 2, I think.
Yeah.
I reckon he played more than 10.
And he didn't want to leave. He didn't want to leave, I believe. And Ricky said, well, if you don't want to leave, you can go play for Como. That's how
I
that
reckon he played more than 10. Let's
happened.
go
More than
Google
10,
this.
you're on.
It
You're on.
won't be many more. It won't be many more than 10. Oh, it's 3. I was wrong.
3.
Mhm.
I said 2.
3.
Yeah.
And I was calling him a club legend. Well, he's a state of origin legend. 3.
Oh,
He was such a disappointment for us, Josh Hannay, wasn't he?
No, he just
don't
wasn't
think he
given
was-
an opportunity.
yeah,
Yeah,
it wasn't his fault.
It was
End
a
of his
bummer,
career,
though.
he was never the most electric centre, and wasn't given the opportunity.
Youngest player in the NRL, wasn't he?
Close to it.
All right, Toilet Inspector in the comments. The winner of the last comp. And I can confirm that he has received his prize. And he's just waiting for his Wars jersey to put on it. He's giving the Wars guys a hard time. Good channel, Wars Up TV. Shout out to our friends over there. Stewie Campbell. Campbell will be back on the bench only and play 20 to 30 minutes to see how his deal at the end. I think that's right, Stuart. Scotty McLaren, I think Cam will play this weekend with his ACL. Adelmo in the comments points out that Jaden will be hoping to turn Blake's special day into a nightmare. Yeah, Jaden Brayley has been named on the bench. And then Stuart Campbell, big focus tonight should be who we are going to chase as Hane's replacement. I say we chase a good halves or offensive coach. We are going to talk about that in segment 5, Stewie. And Trish says Josh Hane played for the Gymea Gorillas. I reckon that's right.
Could be. The joke was definitely always about Como, but he could have played for Gymea. I apologize.
I thought it was Gymea. Brad Seymour was definitely. I thought it was Gymea Gorillas. And Dev Herrera in the comments. Look like the Dogs will rest all their players when they verse the Sharks because after they beat the Panthers reserve grade team, they are locked into third place. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. All right, keep your comments coming, gang. I don't think we've got the winner out of them yet, but we'll see how we go. All right, let's preview this night's match. So the Cronulla Sharks welcome the 16th place Newcastle Knights to Shark Stadium at 2 p.m. this Sunday. This match preview is brought to you by Miranda Hotel, the largest sports screen in the Shire. Down at Miranda Hotel. Can't get to the game. Watch the Sharks at Miranda Hotel. Take advantage of those $7 schooners. Last time out, the Sharks beat the Knights 34-14 in round 7. I rewatched the highlights and majority of that match today. Gus Gould and Andrew Johns in commentary. Do you think Dan Gannade's infuriating? God, those guys are pretty infuriating. Recent form, Sharks have won, 5 of the last 6. The Knights have lost 7 in a row. Matty, what do we need to know about the Sharks' history with the Knights?
Interestingly, so we've played 65 games overall. But there's one draw in there. 30 wins the Sharks, 34 to the Knights. But the points differential, we lead that 1,310 to 1,221. So we've had a good record over them of late, but they had a pretty good record over us early on. So the most wins we've had in a row is 8, where they've had 5 against us. So they've been, I suppose, not the Knights that you know historically over the last 10 years or so. They've, with a few outliers, made the prelim in 2013, made the second week of the finals 2 years ago. It's all that pretty bad for them, and we've taken advantage of that with a few exceptions, like that round 1 loss in 2019 when Edric Lee broke our hearts, and also a couple of years ago, Chad Townsend getting set off game lead up to the 2023 finals where we got pumped up there. So they're more the outliers. Definitely a game we could lose, though. They almost stole it against us last year when we had Atkinson in the halves. It was Atkinson that had the clutch play, kicking the sideline conversion and kicking the golden point field goal. So, it's a bit up and down, but overall, we have been the better side of late. We are going into it the last game as well. We won fairly resoundingly, as you said, but always a danger game against Newcastle.
I just spurs those memories of those big wins over the Knights from the early 2000s, doesn't it? Any time we play the Knights.
Yeah, well, that was that both. So the ones that come to mind, obviously, it's 64-14 in 2002, 49-30 in 2001, which I've mentioned many times. If Chris Beattie's given that try, we put 50 points on the eventual premiers, and no one talks about the 50 points don't win you a comp business, but they had the best.
You love that. You love that commentary. Yeah. It's so good, that commentary.
The counter to my argument on that is the exception to that is Newcastle had the best player that's ever played in Andrew Johns. So that's how you win a comp. If you can't defend, you have Joey Johns.
Man, he wasn't even the best player in his own team. Sean Rudder was such a good 5'8".
Sean Rudder was
Sean Rudder
held his own. Anyway, Sean Rudder, Shane Perry, Chad Townsend. Sorry, what? Moving on. 5'8" halfbacks. But the Knights, they've beaten us in 2 finals. They've had red hot sides over that time. They won 2 comps before we did. Admittedly, one of them was 97, which doesn't count. They've had good teams over the years. It's a shame, having lived in Newcastle, and how proud their fans are. Not that I particularly like them, but it is a shame to see their side be not even a shadow of what they were. And yet their fans continue to rock up because they're proud. But they're a bit of a basket case, and Franko shared on Discord this afternoon the talk that's around their coach.
Yeah, Franko, it looks like their coach is on the way out. Give us the rundown.
Yeah, officially announced on NRL 360 about 17 minutes ago. Gone. So,
wasn't aware of that.
Yep. Don't know the full details as yet. Obviously developing, as the men in the press like to say. But yeah, the idea is that
immediately gone or gone at the end of the season.
Like I said, I don't know everything. I've been on a podcast with you, lovely folks.
For the last 24 minutes. Get it in the comments. Can someone?
Minutes. But Blake Green is the rumored replacement. And so
Blake
that
Green is here to save the day.
Yeah.
Again.
Again. So yeah, look, I don't know why the Newcastle hung on to him for as long as they did. I think he was clearly saved by a bit of Ponga magic for a couple of years in a row there, with a bit of a winning streak at the end of the season. He probably should have been given the punt a few years ago. That said, they hung on to him and hasn't really proven to do too much. And this year they are fighting to not get the spoon. So yeah, something had to change. So we'll see what happens there.
The old Premier League coach sacked bounce back. There's a Knights-related parallel tangent that got in my brain. 2010, before Ricky Stewart walked or was pushed, Shane Flanagan took over as coach of the Sharks vs Knights game that year when we were on a losing streak, and Ricky basically was not involved at all, even though he's coached by name only, and we got the win. And that's what apparently turned the tide of the dressing room, and Ricky departed a few weeks later.
Maybe whoever's going to come in and coach the Knights will take them to premiership 6 years later. I doubt it.
They might well bounce back this week.
Well, wouldn't think so. All right, Matty, take us through this Sharks team.
So fullback Will Kennedy, wingers Sione Katoa, Ronaldo Militale, the centres. So I've been at work until only a matter of minutes ago, so completely missed all this stuff. Mawini Roddy, and back in number 4, Kale Iro. That has made my night. Braden Trindle and Nico Hines, the halves. Front row of Aden Famil Blake. Aden Famil Blake. Blake Brayley.
Aden, don't. Sharks forever will come for you, Matty. We love those guys.
I'm
SF,
sure
what a legend.
Pronunciation's correct there, Baldo. Back row of Billy Burns, Teague Wilton, Jesse Colquhoun, and a bench of Hohepa Puru, Sia Sifa Talakai, Tom Hazelton, Braden Hamlin-Willie, the coach, Craig Fitzgibbon. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
As you can tell that I updated the team list this week because Billy Burns and Kale Iro don't have capitalised names. They're the changes into the team.
I'm just happy they're spelled correctly. I don't mind about capitalising.
Well, I had to go back and check that Jesse Colquhoun was not spelled Jesssie, but it isn't. And then I also typoed Braden Hamlin-Uele, but didn't notice that Kale Iro and Billy Burns didn't have the capitalisations in them. Franko, the return of the 4-forward bench with Sifa Talakai effectively being dropped from centre to the bench for Mawina Roddy. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it's a 4-forward bench, but also it's really two small forwards in Talakai and Puru, so which you've also spelt there incorrectly.
Sorry.
Who have I got incorrectly? Peru or Puri?
Puri. So yeah, it's funny because obviously we know Talakai's a ball of muscle, and he certainly won't be going wanting for his lack of size compared to having 4 big boppers. But the funny thing there is, if you'd have just swapped Colquhoun from the starting side and put him on the bench and have Peru as the starting 13, I would have gone, you beauty, 4 big boppers on the bench, let's go. So it's all a mindset thing, and I'm pretty happy with that. And
I
really
like it, Franko.
Yeah, I do.
I like it. They're a little understrength, Matty, but I still like the overall makeup of the team. We're missing a couple of guys. It'd be great to inform Ramian back in that team. Oregon Kafusi. Has Oregon Kafusi been? He's injured, or is he playing for the Jets? Dumped.
Injured.
He's injured, isn't he?
They said what it is. I thought it was a knee.
They did.
It was only 1 week.
Yeah, no, I think it was only supposed to be 1 week, correct? But they did say what it was. I don't recall what it was. I apologise to all our listeners.
Yeah, I really like the balance. Colquhoun at lock. Really looking forward to having Talakai coming off the bench in the middle. Really looking forward to hopefully used for an appropriate amount of minutes. Puru as well was really strong in that game against admittedly a poor Titans side. And Hazelton and Hamlin-Willie. Hopefully they both keep the form up. Hamlin-Willie I've really liked over the last few weeks, so hopefully I haven't put the mock on him there, but he's been back to being constructive and destructive.
Kale Iro, score a try on the weekend, Franko?
Yes, at the expense of Mulatalo.
Just not pass it to him.
Just not pass him the ball. Yeah, I reckon he'll score. He might bag a double, actually, against the Knights.
Well, it'd be interesting if Gale Hero was able to be the top try scorer for the Sharks this season, given how many matches that he's missed. It'd be a terrific outcome for him, really. Yeah, they're looking a little skinny, the Sharks. We're limping into the finals, aren't we? This season has been a season's that been cruel by injury.
I'd respectfully disagree.
We're coming back. We're missing Cam McInnes and Jesse Ramian and Kavesi.
Yeah, I'd respectfully disagree in the regards to that. With going into 2022, we were missing two of our wingers, and Kennedy came back first week of the finals. 2023, we had a few guys out there, and including Kennedy being out as well.
We didn't win any of those seasons.
No, we didn't. But I'm just saying that I think we're in better spot, like a better place in that our spine is touch wood fit.
That's true.
And also, too, our back three is touch wood fit. And we've got players that are coming into a bit of form and a bit of fitness at the right time. So having Kale Lero back is a huge out. Whereas you look at last year, that was prelim final. We lost our centres. But I think that, I don't know, the flip side, losing Cam, massive out leadership-wise. But as Fitzgibbon said, it's an opportunity for someone to stand up. Hopefully we get that. But I do like the ins. I think that having Cole Hoon there, gives us, well, he absolutely tore up against the Titans. We scored 1 million points after Cam McInnes went off. Whether there's any coincidence, don't know. But I know I'm liking the way that we're trending.
I like this comment from Scotty McLaren. Boldo, are we really missing Ramian? Franko, are we missing Ramian?
I think you put that question up to a whole bunch of fans. The beginning of the season, they wouldn't question it, but after the season he's had, and the game that Hiroti had last week, if they gave you a fresh fit,
Hiroti was good,
Ramian,
wasn't he?
I don't think everyone's jumping to put Ramian back in the squad.
Hiroti was good. Actually, yeah, it's funny you have a buy. He was. I remember you guys talking that through. I don't think we get some of those tries last week or last match with Ramian. So, yeah, we'll see. All right, let's go through this Knights team. Matty, do you want to do the honours for us again and talk us through?
Yes. So the Knights team got Dane Gagai at fullback with Dom Young, the former Rooster, and Fletcher Hunt, the speedy wingers with the centres of James Schiller and Bradman Best, who has torn us apart in the past. Jake Arthur, Jack Cogger, the halves. Front row, Jacob Salafidi, Phoenix Crossland, and Leo Thompson. Back row, Jermaine McEwen, Kai Pierce, Paul Tyson Frizzell, the former Shark. And the bench of Jaden Brayley, former Shark, Matt Croker, Thomas Cairns, and Elijah Salesi Lemoana. And the coach, it was.
It's Saturday.
This is our first team list that has been provided an incorrect coach.
That has never happened before. Goodness me. So the halves have changed since the round 7 match against the Newcastle Knights. We're going to do an opposition fan preview. Adrian, the Knights super fan, is obviously not having much of a season, or was going to come on and do a show with me on Friday to give us the rundown of the Knights team. Certainly, I don't think we're quaking in our boots at the look of this team, are we, Franko?
No, look, I think it's one of those things you always look at that, and being a Sharks fan, you're like, oh gosh, can we ever be confident? But really, we should destroy the Newcastle Knights. It'd be an interesting center matchup. The outside backs are really where this game is. I don't really have much fear for the rest of their team. It'll be a good one, but we should put a score on them.
So you Sharks by 20, Franko?
Yeah. This should be a fun match, I reckon.
All right, get your score predictions in, gang. How many are the Sharks going to win by? Harley says, I tip the Sharks to win by 60. Matty, what do you reckon?
Well, having been the 2016 62-0 win game, and there was a comment there earlier, who was that? Matt Axiak. Thank you for that. I'll let Boldo find that one.
There it is.
2-0 throwback podcast. Hopefully we can do that one day. That would be great fun. Boldo and I did go to that. I was living in Newcastle at the time, and we were worried. I think Jack Cogger and Brock Lamb were on debut, or one of them was on debut, and we're like, oh gosh, one of them's going to tear up. Here we go. And obviously the rest is history. But that was a very different night side. I think a team with looking at Dane Gagai does seem to go well against us at times. Bradman Best has in the past. Obviously, Dom Young is a great target on the wing if you put some good kicks up. And we've been talking about in recent shows that basically you can't defend a kick now with the tackle in the air rule, that the defender can't tackle an attacking player in the air. So there are some, if they've got their head screwed on and they're reinvigorated from the change of coach, they could cause some trouble. And do they? I don't know. I know you put to me pre-show, Boldo, how many times have we faltered late in the year? And I haven't had a chance to do any research at all, but I know that you're probably looking to talk about was a game in 1979, a game
89, the Gold Coast match.
89 Gold Coast game. I thought there might have been one in the late 70s as well that your brother had referred to. 1998, last round against the Gold Coast. I think we squeaked a win there, but we needed more in the forward against department and missed out on the top 10. Or 2015 in the yellow jerseys against Manly, who missed the finals, and we lost to them and missed out on top 4 spot. So it has happened. But if the Sharks play how they did against the Titans and should, and string together, let's say, hopefully close to 80 minutes, but knowing them, it'll probably be between 30 and 60, depending on which side of the bed they get out of. Sharks should win by 12. Should win by 40, but it'll probably win by 12.
I was actually going to tip a Sharks loss for the rest of the season for every single match to just put us on a reverse streak. But listening to this, I've completely changed my mind. And I'm just going to run with this. I think the Sharks, that one is the one that I want. The Sharks are going to break the record score this weekend at Shark Park. More than 62 points. That's what's going to happen. They are going to absolutely flog the Knights. The Knights are in absolute disarray without a coach. And the Sharks are going to absolutely smash them, is what's going to happen.
Well,
that is my prediction. I've got it.
If they're without a coach, but yes,
we've got the receipts here. It is going to be one of the great days at Shark Park, and they're going to score an absolute mountain of tries.
68 is the record score for the Sharks.
Yeah, so they will win by 63 or more points.
Okay. You watch the Knights score the first 2 tries based on that, and we'll have to be playing catch up.
We'll see. We'll see how we go. Harley agrees with me. All right, well, we'll see how we go. All right, so let's just go through some of these other comments and hit through some of these. SJD says that he would. All right, we'll come back to that one, SJD. Harley says, Kaylero's back, you beauty. SJD, I'm going to respond to your that other 2001 comment at the end of the show. We're going to talk about that. Dean asks us, even though I'm a big fan of Peru, do you think you'd put Tukes instead since we already have Talakai on the bench? Franko, your take on that question. Answer Dean's one for us.
Look, I think we're still looking at that utility role. I think Peru offers that a bit of flexibility. I know we're on the record saying that Talakai has all the flexibility we need, especially with Hiroti on the field, because he can transition to the halves or to fullback if needed. But I think Peru has earned his time. I think it's his time to see what he can do. And it is, look, we have spoken about it. Boldo just predicted the best score ever. It is against a weakened bottom of the table Knights team. So if he's not going to get a chance to prove himself now, when is he? I'm more than happy to see Peru have a crack, especially while we've got the other big boppers on the bench ready to cover that.
Fair enough. All right. Let's go through some more of these. Adam Field calls out Hiroti versus Bradman Best. Bradman Best is a tough hombre. Well, that's definitely true. And Matt, we're going to come to your Matt Axiak. That is a good comment. I should have covered that in the socials. We'll talk to that at the end of the show. All right, let's move on to the next segment, shall we, lads? Because if the Sharks can win, well, then maybe the top 4 isn't out of reach. So, the ladder predictor. Let's go through that. Can the Sharks make the top 4? This analysis segment, is brought to you by our friends at Morgan's Cronulla. For all of your stockbroking needs, call Chris and Charles down there in Cronulla. Link is in the description. All right, on NRL.com, they've got the ladder predictor, and you can just go through and pick which team you think is going to win, whether you think it's going to be the Bulldogs or the Panthers, and it goes and amends the ladder right now. As you can see, the Sharks are currently placed 6th on the ladder with a points differential of, 67? So a little bit off where the Bulldogs are, well ahead of the Warriors. So as we work through this, if we just assume, look, first thing we've got to assume, Franko, that the Sharks are going to win both matches, right?
Correct.
And there's no, we talked through it earlier. Franko, is it even possible for the Sharks to make the top 4 if they don't win both matches?
Pretty sure it's not.
All right. Well, it'll be unlikely. Okay. So given the Panthers are resting all their players, are we going to assume that's a win for the Bulldogs, Matty?
Yeah, you can't not.
Look, we know that the Panthers have a pretty good junior system, a lot of depth, and given all of the chatter that will happen through the week, they'll have a point to prove. But yeah, I can't imagine the Dogs losing to this one.
All right, we'll come back to the Warriors and the Eels. Let's just say the Storm beat the Roosters. The Raiders will beat the Tigers. I guess the Seagulls will beat the Dragons. The Broncos will beat the Cowboys. What do we think?
Yep. Yeah, Broncos, no doubt.
All right, so if the Broncos beat the Cowboys, and then we'll say that the Dolphins win as well. The Warriors and the Eels. Look, the Warriors are limping in, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So if we give the Warriors that win, that should. How does it? We go ahead of the Warriors. How's that possible? Is that because I've got the Sharks tipped here? Yes, it is because I've got the Sharks tipped here. All right, so then it is going to come down to for and against. So if the Bulldogs lose, well, no, because the Bulldogs are going to be.
The Bulldogs are locked in to the top 4.
Because we need the Bulldogs to lose both matches, don't we?
We need the Bulldogs to lose both matches.
So if the Bulldogs lose both matches, so let's just say we give that to the Panthers.
We're in.
Then it's going to come down to for and against.
No, we're in. We're just in. If Bulldogs lose both matches, we're in.
No, I don't think that's right.
Well, you've got the predictor. You click the button.
Because if the Warriors go and the Broncos go, then we'll be on 36. So that won't be right.
The Broncos is a different discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Who's got the feedback coming through there? Is that just me or am I getting that from somebody?
That's probably Williams.
Yeah, let's just mute Matty for a second, see what happens. Yeah, there we go. We muted Matty for a second. Yeah, we got a funny. We'll mute you for a second, Matty, and see if you can fix that up. All right. So, yeah. All right. So then you'd have to assume that the Storm are going to rest their players too, aren't they, Franko?
They have a history of resting their players. The only thing that might change that is if they think the minor premiership is worth it. They have shown in the past that they don't believe so.
So if they do that, so then they need the Raiders to lose either to the Dolphins or to their previous match. So you'd have to think that the Raiders are not going to drop a match against, where are they here? The Tigers. Yeah, you can't see that happening. So if the Raiders win, well, the Raiders can easily rest all of their guys as well, especially if the Melbourne Storm rest. So,
yeah, but you don't know that until team sheet.
Well, they're not going to know that on a Thursday night. This is true. So, all right. So the Sharks are basically either going to need
the Panthers to beat the Bulldogs, or we need the Storm to beat the Broncos.
Yep,
are the two big ones.
Or if the Warriors lose every match.
Or if the Warriors lose every match. Yeah.
Yeah, if the Warriors lose. So if the Warriors lose both matches.
That said, our fate is not in our own hands.
Yeah. So what's the most likely scenario here? The Bulldogs are going to beat the Panthers, aren't they?
Yep. Most likely Warriors scenario is, for me, the Storm beating the Broncos.
Yeah. And the Manly beating the Warriors.
Either or, it doesn't matter if Manly beat the Warriors, I think. We've just got to have the Storm beat.
No, if the Warriors beat Manly and the Warriors win both matches, we won't be in.
Gotcha. Well, like I said, I don't think they'll beat the Eels, but
well, the Warriors are certainly a question mark, aren't they?
Yeah, they're busted.
That's...
End of season. Yeah. So yeah, it's out of our hands, but we can make the 4. There's a few roads to the 4, none of which we can really control. All we can do is win our 2 games, and that puts us in a box seat.
Puts us fourth. No, that might be enough. What have I said here? Yeah, so if Storm can beat the Broncos and the Sea Eagles can beat the Warriors, that'd be enough. We will see, Stephen.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the Broncos win there, it'll come down to for and against, which we'll get done on. All right, Matty's fixed his sound up. Matty, what do you think?
No, he's muted himself.
Now he's muted himself.
Which is very tricky to do. Well done.
Which is. All right, let's go through some of these comments here. Harley calling out that, the Panthers.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. We got it.
Okay.
Harley's commenting here that the Panthers are resting 16 players. SJD commenting that the Cowboys can definitely beat the Broncos. That's probably true. And also calls out the Warriors need to lose 1 match. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose either. And the Storm have rested a couple of players, plus Harry's not suspended.
That's the big if. If Storm rest all their players, they've got a really good record against Brisbane. But if they rest all their players, that's an uncertainty. We obviously need to win, which is no guarantee. But yes, any and all can happen. Focus on ourselves, and what happens from there happens from there.
Obviously, it goes without saying, losing to the Dragons was a big ouch.
Oh, so many losses that one. Anyway, we could be here all day. But yes, the Dragons won.
Well, the Broncos is a 4-point game. The Broncos loss, wasn't it? So, all right. So, what's our take, Franko? Can we make the top? Are we going to make the top 4?
Look, I don't think we are, but it certainly gave me hope and comfort that we might, sitting in there on Thursday, Friday of the bye week in 4. It's like, oh yeah, we're in 4. That's pretty close. We're good. We're in. But yeah, look, come finals, I'm not sure we will be in 4th. But on the flip side, it's a Shark Park finals game, baby.
It is a Shark Park finals game. We love those. We don't get to sit in the ET stand. It's one of the most frustrating things buying the tickets to the. I guess we could do that as we know that that's coming in our future. Is a segment on Shark Park segments, isn't it? Here we go. Adam Field in the comments. I don't think it's that bad if we finish 5th as opposed to 4th. 5th, you play 8th and a good chance to win that game. Finish 4th and you play the Raiders or Storm away, which will be tough. That is true, Adam. And it's actually the top 3 teams that tend to win the premiership, not the top 4. Gone and looked at that.
I don't know if I agree. I actually think that the bottom half of the 8 looks pretty intimidating compared to the top half of the 8. It'd be a brave man to want to go up against the Panthers or the Roosters in their current form versus, say, the Bulldogs or the Raiders. I know the Raiders are crash hot at this moment in time, but they're a young squad. We almost beat them before. I think you're not mentally battered before you go up against the Raiders compared to, say, the Panthers or the Roosters or maybe the Broncos. So, yeah.
We just got scars against those teams, don't we, Franko? Matty?
We do indeed.
Panthers, Roosters to a certain extent, but Panthers definitely are just in a holding pattern waiting for the finals to start. They know they can't make top 4. I think the Panthers may well win it from here. This masterstroke of freshen everyone up, mounted charge, keep winning, off you go. Yes, it's a different Panthers team this year, but they've shown that they can tear teams apart. Yeah, it's ominous.
So there's a scenario where the Panthers play the Warriors in week 1 of the finals of 6 versus 7.
That's ideal for the Panthers because they'll just destroy the understrength Warriors. and then they'll go through to probably play against, let's say, the Bulldogs or the Raiders, or so one of the top four sides that have. It depends how it is, but I don't think Melbourne will lose.
You can see the Panthers putting a run together, can't you?
I can see the Panthers putting a run together and then winning all the way through. So, and the Tigers, McIntyre system, but they won from 4th in 2005. So a few teams have done.
All right, we'll see. All right, we'll get your comments in. What do you think, gang? Where the Sharks going to? So Franko said, what have your position have you said?
I reckon we're in 5th.
5th. Matty?
Yeah, I think 5th or 6th. 4 would be great, but I think it'd be 5th or 6th.
Yeah. As we've just demonstrated, 4th is an option, but yeah, I think we're 5th.
I think we're going to be 5th as well, which is going to be incredibly frustrating. All right, let's go on to Hannay. Josh Hannay is on his way out of the Sharks at the end of the season to coach the last place Gold Coast Titans, the defensive coach for the Cronulla Sharks and Queensland. Franko, are we going to miss Josh Hannay?
Yeah, look, it's hard to say. First of all, I do wish him all the best with his new endeavours and hope he does well. Just not against us. He's been spoken about in whispers of various coaching options and positions for a while now, so it should come as no surprise to anyone that he's finally landed one. You mentioned him as being a defensive coach. Well, it's kind of true. He is a defensive coach. He came to us as a defensive coach, but with both Fitzy and Steve Price also being defensive coaches, it's my belief that Hannay was the one who kind of transitioned into being the attacking coach for the Sharks. Has he done a good job there? It's hard to say. We've certainly not lacked for points on average. However, we haven't shown any real structure or evolution in what we do with the ball. In fact, you could almost say we've probably seen a slide backwards. And while no assistant coach gets an interim job at well-placed clubs, it's worth mentioning he didn't do well as an interim at the Cowboys after Paul Green, nor at the Sharks after John Morris. And that stint at the Sharks was most of the season with 19 games. We also saw that the Sharks team that he took over was a finals team, both the years previous and since, unlike, say, Todd Payton, who took a floundering Warriors outfit and made them really perform. That said, he has been credited as being really knowledgeable coach and one that the players really like. He's apparently the brains behind the Queensland's defence. And maybe it isn't as simple as, this person is an attacking coach or this person is a defensive coach at the Sharks. We know we're a bit skinny on in the coaching assistant ranks. Maybe it's a bit more of a shared responsibility with a bleed between roles, I suppose. Yeah, I don't think a bit of a freshen up would hurt. We haven't changed things up. There's something probably needs to change in the eyes of most fans. But I guess one of the big concerns is who he takes with him. He knows our players and our juniors pretty well. He knows their contract status. Does he have a gentleman agreement with Fitzy or not, similar to what Fitzy had with Trent Robson when he left the Roosters? That's a concern as well. So, look.
Marween Hiroti to the Cowboys.
Marween Hiroti to the Titans, or
Titans.
Billy Burns to the Titans. Yeah. Some of our young juniors that are fringies at the moment, maybe a year off, that could do well up there. So yeah, it's a difficult one. We're not in the inner sanctum. We don't know who does what. We can only say what we've seen, and in my opinion, if I was to see one of our coaching staff leave as a way of freshening things up, Hannay would probably have been my pick, to be honest. And the fact that he's left on his terms for greener pastures means it's a win-win for everyone, I think.
Matty, past Sharks assistant coaches who have gone elsewhere, who comes to mind?
Peter Sharp, who became head coach and then resigned midway through 2014. We got Jim Dimmock. Shane Flanagan became coach. John Morris became...
Jim Dimmock, he never got a coaching gig, did he? He was heralded as the...
A lot of them are career assistant coaches. I know Kelly spoke in depth about this a while ago. A lot of them are career assistant coaches and really enjoy that. It's a big step up to being a head coach. And we've seen that with, what's his name? Adam O'Brien, Brad Arthur, assistant coach like that. Even Michael Maguire got success with Souths, but lacked success elsewhere with the Tigers. Difficult job. But listening on one of the radio shows, can't remember which one it was, probably SEN, recently they were talking about the amount of assistant coaches that have gone from Storm and Roosters setups. And you go, this guy's the next big thing. Adam O'Brien was highly touted as potentially even a future Sharks coach. And then the first time they hit heartache and trouble is when they're trying to turn this team like the Titans or the Knights around. And they're trying to deal with all that when they're used to being in a rosy setup with the Storm or the Roosters with all the money, all the resources, Bellamy or Robinson as the head coach, or even prior to that, there was a really good Sydney Morning Herald article a few years ago talking about the, I suppose, the family tree of coaches of who was an understudy to Jack Gibson, who was an understudy to Gus, who was an understudy to Tim Sheens, and it all fanning out from there, and Wayne Bennett and their styles and all that. It's an exceptionally difficult job that each coach walks their own path, but to jump from assistant to head coach, it's enormous, and a lot fail, a handful succeed, and Fitzgibbon, jury's still out on him. He's come from the Roosters setup as well, so plenty of assistant coaches have been through our ranks. Have many kicked on to be world beaters as a coach? Probably not. That's not limited to us as well. I will wish him all the best. It's interesting, though, Fitzgibbon had plenty of opportunities, having heard him interviewed. The Dragons were, similar to Jason Rolls' contract, willing to give him the keys to the city and all the money. And he saw it as not being the right opportunity because of all the boardroom issues, the lack of support for the coach. And you've got to remember him saying, you've got to make sure it's the right one. He saw the Sharks as the right fit and the right jump, because you can destroy your entire potential as a head coach if you get off to a bad start. How many people have gone
You can just be done.
Yeah, so Trent Barrett's had several opportunities.
Trent Barrett.
Trent Barrett's a cat with 9 lives. But
is he going to go coach Trent Barrett to the Knights? That'd be hilarious, wouldn't it?
Surely, yeah. What
about this one? Can we go through this one? Hold on. Adam Field. Mick Ennis as a smokey for assistant coach. But he has potentially got a clear path to coaching at the head role at Manly, so he may prefer to stay there.
So
Franko, Mick Ennis?
I'd love to bring Mick Ennis back to the Sharks. I think it might have been a little bit of argy-bargy between him and Morris as to why he left at the time, but I think he would be an excellent assistant coach at the Sharks. As you said there, mate, he might not want to, with the rumour that he's being groomed to take over from Seabold. There's also, I guess, a question mark on, we're talking about assistant coaches. Do you change clubs to be an assistant coach at a different club? Normally it's only because the head coach has gone and he's bringing in his own staff, and so you need to be an assistant coach elsewhere, not because everything's working and you just want a change of scenery. That's not really a thing for assistant coaches. I guess as far as my options are concerned, I think Mick Potter would be a pretty good option. Pull him out of New South Wales Cup, the Dogs there. He did really well when he was an interim there. I was almost shocked that he didn't get the gig. Talking again about other assistant coaches that I think would do well, Jason Taylor, I think, would be good to bring across. He's got a working history with Fitzy as well, both from the Roosters. Bit of an interesting one because I know he's got a
coach too, Jason Taylor, and he'd be good
a
with
very good attacking coach. Yep. Comes up with a whole bunch of good out of the box ideas. The other option, which is a bit of a funny one because I know a lot of people think he's got a bit of stench about him, but Nathan Brown, he's one that he sort of put a line through. Yeah, put a line through being a head coach. He's happy to be an assistant coach now. He's also a Sharkies fan. Grew up in the area, loved the Sharks. Has a good eye for junior talent as well, of which we've got plenty of, and was able to assist Laurie Daly in winning the 2014 State of Origin series. And if he can do that, he can work wonders. I guess that and Cooper Cronk breaking his arm, I guess. Matt King is another option, a good attacking option. Again, the Roosters connection, good structure. Also was a Storm player. Rabbitohs as an assistant coach for during their premiership run, and now in the Blues structure. So he's pretty good. Brian Smith is a bit of a left field option, old head.
Brian Smith,
so much
good.
knowledge about the game. He's spoken about wanting to get back in and do something. He might be a bridge too far It could be an
He's so
interesting
good.
interview.
He'd want to be the
Cooper
head
Cronk-
coach, though, Franco.
He might want that, but you've got to get back in the game so people don't forget about you, right, and remember what you can do. So stepping stones. And then Cooper Cronk, I don't think it would ever happen. He's got a pretty cushy gig as a commentator, plus who knows what the Roosters are paying him as a half specialist coach. But I think he would be a pretty good get if he wanted to step up from a specialist coach to an assistant coach.
Matty, can you give us a reaction to that just brilliant diatribe from Franco there?
Very thorough, and I knew Nathan Brown would come in there, and I'm glad to hear that you mentioned his name. One only name I've got for me, which is highly regarded, is Justin Holbrook. Why he got turfed from the Titans to begin with, they probably wouldn't be in this issue if they stuck with him long term. But yeah, there's a lot of assistant coach talent out there, so hopefully they make the right choice.
I guess the thing with Justin Holbrook, and probably one of the reasons why I didn't mention him, was because I couldn't quite put my hand up and say 3 assistant Roosters coaches in Jason Taylor, Matt King, and Holbrook. I couldn't name all 3 of the Roosters assistant coaches and say, yeah, let's bring one of them. Anyone will take them.
Again, comes from that from a successful system. But Holbrook has proven himself in a few different setups. I think he was even in the Penrith setup at one stage.
Holbrook
made a real name for himself. Yeah, made a name for himself, both I think as a head coach, but also as a really good assistant coach as well.
Like this one from Adelmo. Trent Barrett's first win as coach have all been against us, Manly, Bulldogs and Eels. It's better, doesn't it, that he doesn't go to the Knights for this weekend. That's very, very true, Adelmo. All right, well, look, congratulations, Josh Hannay, on winning a first-grade coaching gig. We certainly want people to come to the Sharks and then go on and be successful. So I've always been an admirer of Josh Hannay and liked him. So let's move on to the NRLW and Jada Taylor. So the Sharks had a hard-fought win over the Warriors on the weekend. Jeez, it was a rough game. It's like head clashes and all sorts of stuff. So lots of spine shuffle with Emma Veron ending up at 5'8" at the end of the match, with Hannaway going to hooker. Actually, I'll bring up the team. And Brooke Anderson now at lock. So the Sharkies girls to take on the Knights. It's Jada Taylor in the number 1 jersey, Casey Staples and Georgia Ravix, the try-scoring machines in the wings. Yeah, no change to that 2, 3, 4, 5. Emma Veron in the number 6 jersey with Shante Kira Ratu as halfback. Then we've got Ellie Johnson, Georgia Hannaway, Steph Falconer, Tello Holmes, Rhiannon Byers, and Brooke Anderson now in lock, with a bench of Nakia Davis-Welsh, Anne-Marie Kira Ratu, Manalita Tucker-Pautolo, and Caitlin Johnson-Green in number 17. I think the Sharkies girls are looking good, lads. What do we reckon?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's almost a blessing in disguise that Shante has made an easy selection for the coach with Veron and Taylor, with that head knock keeping her out. Gives us a week to see what that spine looks like, without any pressure of bruising any egos or pushing people around and shuffling people mid-game. So it's a good opportunity for us to see what this setup looks like, and especially leading into the finals, you don't want to be tinkering around too much with the spine.
I think the Sharkies girls should get 4th. Big match from this weekend. I think they're pulling together a run for the finals. So let's see how they go. Matty?
Yeah, the Knights are no easy beats, though.
Yeah. Well, they're 5th, aren't they?
Tough one for them. They've lost, who's their main player that went back to the Broncos? Who's their star player? The name plays for Queensland. The fullback. Good chat. Anyway, you know
someone in the comments help Matty out.
You know who I'm talking.
I love how Chris Kelly volunteered to be the NRLW expert of the ET stand and then hasn't been on a show since.
Did he? Yeah,
he did.
What I really liked about the weekend was the grit from the girls. Their defense was good. I know the Warriors ran in with the second and third tries, which had a bit worried for a while there, and then we really put some good defensive sets holding our line well, and all 3 of their tries from out wide. I will give a shout out to the Warriors goal kicker. She was unbelievable. I think this is not a sexist in any way, but the goal kickers in the women's do lack a bit of range compared to the men's. But she was hitting them sweetly, and she was unlucky to miss the first one, nailed the second one, and the third one was a bit of a dud attempt, but really capable there. And thought it was a well fought win.
All right, let's move on to the last segment. Now, Benny Turner, regular commenter on the show, got in the YouTube comments a week and a half ago, and Franko said, hey, should we answer this in the comments? And I said, no, let's do a whole segment on it. So Benny asked us, if the Sharks had a better stadium, would more fans attend games? And so we've seen the Sharks over the years have higher potential attendances because the ground capacities were higher. I think the ground record's around 22,000, I think, if memory serves me correct. I think that was a Dragons match from the late 90s. Matty, is that 04 a Dragons match? So, look, here's the thing with events, and this is what I've learned running a whole bunch of events. Two key things is one is the parking and the other one is the amenities and basically the toilets. You need to get those two right. So, sadly, the Sharkies don't really have facility for parking for 30,000 people to turn up at Shark Stadium. So it doesn't matter how many stadiums or seats or how high the stuff was, we're never going to be able to have that many people there anyway. And obviously the team performance is also critical to the success of the team. So you'd have to think, I think we could get 16, 17, 18,000 there to the games, Franko. But the Hallican days of you being running the Sharks, I can't see us getting 25,000 people to Shark Park for a match.
Yeah, I guess, look, we obviously know we're running at a lower capacity than what we will be once the Leagues Club is built. So we know that number will be able to be bumped up. That said, we haven't maxed out our stadium of, when it was able to hold about 22,000 since back in the heydays of the 90s. And there's a few things, I guess, to relate to that is we've had a lot of outsiders move into the Shire in that time who don't support the Sharks. The NRL game has developed into being a better spectacle on TV than live for most people. And the culture of I guess NRL fans is not to go to the games, unlike AFL. That said, can we blame anything on the stadium? Can it be better? I think if we had a better stadium there, it's a case of, I think we joked about it a couple of months ago, if you build it, they will come. If we had a nice boutique stadium that was a little bit weatherproof and held, let's not shoot for the moon, but let's say held about 25 max, but I'd be happy with 22. If it held that comfortably, and you built it up as the ticket event of the season, similar to, say, ice hockey, they've got those smaller, by US and North American standard sporting venues, they've got those smaller stadiums. They sell them out every week, every match, and you clamour to get seats for there. So anytime a seat's available or there's corporate associations that they give seats out, that's a big ticket item. You would want that to be for the Sharks, and everyone would have a member seat and everyone would clamour to be in there, and we would be sold out week on week, year on year, and oh my gosh, someone died, their ticket's now available in the Shark Stadium, let's grab it. That's what you want, and that's where I'd hope we go. I don't think we would ever amount to having a huge thing like a CommBank or a Suncorp. We would never get those sorts of numbers, so mileage may vary.
Matt, do you drive to every match? Telmo's comments here, it's just a nightmare to drive there, and finding parking is difficult. Because you park on you're a Captain Cook.
No, I don't park on Captain Cook Drive. I used to park on Gannon's Road back before that was affected by the lack of parking, and then all the VIP parking, I suppose, moved to the adjacent the softball football fields there, nearest the golf club. So I park further back through the laneway off Captain Cook Drive. So where that roundabout is, Gannon's Road and Captain Cook Drive through there. So it's a 10 to 15 minute walk away, which with kids, it's not ideal. And having said that, even CommBank, the parking around Parramatta is absolutely atrocious. Living near there, and being 20 games there lately. Allianz, not much better. I've got a secret spot that I use there, and then the tram at times as well. So driving to games, it's difficult. Even Newcastle, there was a spot that I could park with a 5 to 10 minute walk for a big crowd there. But it is difficult. You've got to know the area, and you still need to be willing to walk, unless you wanted to pay a fortune to park in the ground and spend quite some time getting out of it. So you're right, parking's part of it, but I think that's always been something that is difficult. Adelmo, send us a comment in the DMs, and we'll be able to let you know with some maybe secret spots if you get there at a suitable time. But still, they are about a 10-minute walk away. I think aiming for crowds, historically, our biggest season was 05 with an average of about 15,500, 16,000. Haven't checked that, but that was from memory what it was. We do notoriously have smaller crowds, with the exceptions being the big games against Dragons, or a big Saturday night or Sunday afternoon game against a big opposition draw card. Or if we have a big dancing event, like 2019 was the recent ground record for its in current configuration. 2017 was, and then 2019 for Paul Gallen's last game was just under 20,000, where they crammed everyone in with the Southern's 10. I think aiming for something 20,000 would be reasonable. But yeah, I think a build and they'll come business, maybe it's always been a place to go before going out somewhere else in the Shire. I think taking away the beer hill is something that's bemoans, because it lost all its atmosphere, and you kind of lose those people that go there as a place to have a few beers before going out, but still gave it a bit of a good atmosphere. So it's a difficult one. On the flip side, with regards to making an event of it, like Leichhardt, they play 3 or 4 games at Leichhardt a year and it's sold out. Do we move a half split to Allianz? Do we go play?
Because no one will go to Allianz.
Exactly.
Do you know how much trouble I'll have getting Franko to go to a match at bloody Allianz?
Agreed.
He'll never go to a match.
Agreed. But here's something, I suppose, that says someone who's moved out of the Shire and commutes a lot. We are, those that live in the Shire, extraordinarily fortunate to have a team just down the road still playing there. We went 2 years at Cobra and we saw that was terrible. But you look at a lot of other teams, like a lot of fans of Penrith. Look at Penrith, they're playing away from home in Parramatta, which is a solid 30 to 45 minutes, depending on traffic down the M4. Go away there. Bulldogs are nomadic and they play at Homebush, which is miles from Campbelltown. Manly's fortunate as well, and the Roosters have no fans, while the Dragons, let's face it, should move permanently to Wollongong. And that leaves the Tigers, and they're all over the shop as well. So I'm not saying be like that, but it is in this day and age, we want the NRL to be a big
Such a good answer.
We want suburban warfare. I love Shark Park. I want them to train there, to play there. But the fact of the matter is the facilities are, Dino, they're terrible. I never thought that I would be this way about Shark Park. I'll happily go there, but I'm very fortunate to sit under the drip line in the ET stand. Most others aren't. I can get a beer and go to the toilet and get food pretty easily, but most other people can't. If I wasn't sitting there, and
it is a turn off.
I wouldn't be making the commute anymore for it.
Yeah, it's a turn off.
And so, look, if it can't, it's down to between moving to Adelaide or Christchurch or wherever, which, let's face it, Flanders isn't going to make happen. Under the former jurisdictions, under Greenberg and the like, probably could have. They were willing to move us to Gosford or Perth. It's true. I think if we want to keep our side, Shark Park needs to be upgraded. It's not going to happen, so they need to look at alternative options. Do we take 4 or 5 or 6 games away a year? The locals probably won't like that. So is the next best thing making it a big ticket item? Okay, we play against the out-of-town teams at Shark Park and we pack it out and we get noisy. And then the other games against them, the Dragons, the Roosters, other games, we make it a big event. Even Perth Bears, it's a big event, and we play them at the Sydney Football Stadium. And we try to get 30 or 40,000, which, face it,
problem is the other teams will have more fans than us there.
They will, and we need to get better. We need to get better in that. It's the Shire insular mentality that holds us back.
The Sharks. It's the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. We don't play anywhere else, do we?
It's the Shire insular mentality that holds us back. That if people aren't willing to travel, let's face it, it's pretty easy to get to Ball Park these days. Compared to
Ball Park sucks. Getting Franko to Ball Park's basically impossible.
Geez. I mean,
you there? Hello.
It could be. It could be worse than Moore Park. But look, I think I would rather the nomadic style of picking half the games at Shark Park and then have a game at Coffs, have a game at somewhere else, take it around regional Australia and build fan bases in other areas. That said, that'll never happen because to sell memberships and ticketed memberships, you are killing yourself because everyone already complains about not getting the full allocation of games per year and prices still going up. So that'll never happen. Shark Park or staying in the Shire, I think, is definitely key for us. But how we do that in the future, I guess, is ready for the next question.
So the next question was, does the development compromise the stadium build? You'd have to think that it does a little bit, but they won't have set themselves up so that they can't. You go around looking at it, and you look at the food trucks there on the southeastern corner, and you sit there going, how would you put seats in and behind there? And if you just jam-packed it up and made it pretty steep, I think you would be able to do that. I think certainly the ET stand is probably due a knockdown and an upgrade. I think that one could certainly take a few more people. And then certainly on the Leagues Club side, that could be better as well.
It has absolutely compromised the stadium build, especially the Quest Hotel where it is. I say
you can build something there.
You can build something,
but it's not. You can't build a mega something.
Yeah, I say that in terms of the word stadium. It will forever be a suburban ground with the way the development has occurred. It'll be a couple of grandstands, maybe a couple of them joined up, but it will never be a true stadium in the sense of the word where you surround the ground with seats. You've got shelter from all angles. That will never be an option at Shark Park anymore. And if that's the kind of stadium we want, then we need to find an alternate site in the Shire. And as much as I love the stadium being down the road, I would welcome an option for as we keep using it as the example. It's certainly one to easily pluck out of the air, but like a Combank style, even smaller than Combank, but still all four walls, beer lines and toilets behind the seating, somewhere in either Loftus or Miranda, or find a plot of land that we can utilize and repurpose that is more accessible to the rest of the Shire. I think would be pretty outstanding.
Something on the train line would certainly help.
Something on the train line would help for sure.
Yeah, they need to bring the buses back. I think that's another thing that they would need to do. So to answer, Benny, your original question of how to get more people to the games, it's a cocktail of a whole bunch of stuff. So the team needs to be performing well. You need to have the local infrastructure. So I think the bus means for getting from the stations down to Cronulla is not as prevalent as it used to be. You need all the facilities to be working. You need a whole bunch. The Leagues Club needs to be there, a whole bunch of stuff. So we'll close that one off there. Adelmo calls out, well, you can just ask Neil Breen because he's apparently got all the answers. There was a rather unsavory article from Neil Breen. I'll put it in the comments, and if you want to click on it, you guys can go do that and read it in your own time. Where he basically takes on Dino and says that Dino was calling out that we didn't get any funding when actually we did get some funding. So maybe not. I'll let you guys go read that one for yourselves. All right, guys, let's hit through some of these other comments before we bounce out of there. Matty, you got anything you want to add to that before I close it out?
No, it's a wicked problem. We don't have a spare 3, 4, 5, 600 million, whatever it costs. So we've got to make do with what we got. And it looks like we're not doing that at the moment. So Neil Breen, as much as I dislike the guy and I think he's a hack, on the record, he's got a point.
Except that, and I haven't read the article, so I'm shooting from the hip here, that Dino did mention that $8 million grant on NRL 360. So
yeah, he did. All right, a couple of other comments coming through. I'm just going to respond to this one and just do this myself, so we don't need a commentary on it. SJD says, I still don't know how the Para team from 2001 didn't win. They were one of the best teams ever. I have talked about the Parramatta 2001 team ad nauseum in my lifetime, SGD, and they were not one of the great teams ever. And the reason why they weren't one of the great teams ever is because the Sharks were really good that season, but Peachy was injured for the first half of the season and couldn't put much of a run of matches together. But by the time he got back, the Sharks were really good. Then the other really good team was the Knights, and their star player, Andrew Johns, was injured at the start of the season. So because those two teams were a little bit off the pace, they didn't put as good of a strong regular season performance together. But in the finals, that 2001 match where the Knights beat the Sharks 18-10, that was the grand final because those two teams are the best. The Knights absolutely whooped the Eels. Yes, Matthew?
So Peachy getting injured saw Preston Campbell come into first grade. If Peachy doesn't get injured, Preston Campbell does not come into first grade. We don't see his electric form throughout the start of the year, which inspires John Lang to move into the halves, moving Jason Ferris to hooker, moving Dean Treaster to the bench. We don't have the Dalian player of the year. That's your alternate universe.
True, but they didn't work out what to do with Preston Campbell straight away. And the reason why John Lang left the Sharks was because it was, a 7-match losing streak, or we lost a whole bunch of matches. Like in 2001. I can't remember the exact number. But we lost a bunch of matches in a row, didn't we, Franco?
We did lose a lot. John Lang was gone before round one, though. Announced going at the end of that year before round one.
I thought it was in the middle.
Yeah, it was a
early.
The announcement or the narrative around his sacking was that he had got us to the finals plenty of times, but didn't have what it took to get us to win the grand final. And so they wanted someone that could just take us that extra step, and that's why John Lang was let go.
Chris Anderson. But the 2001 Eels, they were not that good. And Jason Taylor was the 5th or 4th best halfback in the comp at the time and wasn't quite good enough. So that's why they got beaten by Joey. Joey's team was good. But the Sharks 2001 team was pretty good, Matty. Come on. Like one of the great teams.
It's outstanding. I was just saying, I hadn't thought of it that way, but it's an interesting viewpoint. If Peachy wasn't injured for the start of the year, would Preston have got to go? Would he end up in the halves? What would it have been?
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Robocop commented, "Hi guys, Sharkbag hasn't really been a success lately in finals games." Well, Robocop, that's true. But actually, the Sharks haven't been successful in finals games, period. So maybe the problem isn't Sharkbag. Maybe it's just the Sharks, Franco.
Yeah, I'm blaming the Sharks on that one, not the ground.
I'm just blaming the Sharks. All right, Franco, why don't you give us your winner for the best comment?
Oh, okay. There's a few. While I scroll, you can read that last one from Robocop as well.
Yeah, fair enough. Robocop says, Miranda is the way to go. The M6 is no longer being built. Vacant land there. That's true. Wouldn't that be cool?
I think that would be a very great spot. I have done my Google Earth viewing of that location, mate. I can picture a lot of development there around a sporting hub, not just for the Sharks. I think it would be a pretty good little area to be the central focus of sport in the Shire, and
in the middle, and also not near a train station.
In the middle, near a train station, near a whole bunch of
close-ish
with Miranda Fair there. So yeah, I think it would be pretty good.
How good's this from SJD? Knights didn't whoop the Eels. It was one try difference. That's true. That is true, SJD, you legend. However, it was 30 points to 6 with like a couple of minutes to go. And then they scored all those tries. It was a whooping. I was at that one because I did classic young Sharks fan, bought my grand final tickets years in advance and worked out that was a dumb idea. So never doing that again. Matty?
I was 24-0, and then they got back to, I think, 24-12. Then they scored to make
24-0 and then 30-6, wasn't it?
Maybe. And it got back to 30-24, and the Eels had one final
set to final set
tie
to
up.
score. Yeah, they needed another 10 minutes. Yeah. SJD, you like a secret Eels fan here, SJD? Who knew? How good is SJD? And then Stewie says, still average for train connection and major road would need an overpass bridge. That's all true. Stewie's like an expert on those stadiums. All right, Franco.
Okay, there were a few honourable mentions, But I think the winner for me was, I'm just trying to find it. Apologies all for the suspense.
Do you want to do the drum roll again?
Yeah, just do it.
I'll just answer this one from Marcus, who's asking us Sharks top 4 chances. Marcus, I think in the middle of the show we do that top 4 outlook and the ladder predictor. We'd say it's probably about a 15% chance is our conclusion, and we need either the Broncos to lose or the Warriors to lose or the Bulldogs to lose both matches. And the Sharks obviously need to win both of their matches, which we're thinking is pretty unlikely. So we're thinking our outlook is 5th.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give
The winner to?
the winner to. I think we made this joke last week, but it still stands. It's a pretty good one. Scott McLaren saying, I think Cam will play this weekend with his ACL.
Scotty McLaren, all the way from Korea. I'll write that down. Is the winner of the best comment. He goes in the draw to win a prize from displayware.com.au, the best way to display your football jerseys. Good work, Scotty McLaren. All right, that was the ET Stand podcast. Long one as we head into the finals of the NRL season. Pretty sure the Sharkies, we are making the finals. So the good news is we will have a finals match to watch. So we're here for another 3 weeks at least. This week we'll have an opposition fan preview with Knight superfan Adrian. Got a few other nice, fun things planned for the rest of the season too. So do hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, if you haven't watched us before, to get notified of all of our videos as they're going on. We will be live sometime after full time on Sunday following the Sharks match. Thanks for that compliment, Robocop. Should have gotten that in before Franko did the draw. You might have won. We'll see you guys on Sunday evening post the Sharks, hopefully breaking that record score. Then we'll be back next week live on Tuesday. I think, Matty, we're not going to see you for a couple of weeks, so we'll see you for the grand final show, yeah?
Yeah, sounds good. The pre and the post.
Sounds good. All right, legends. Go the Sharks. We'll see you next weekend. Up, Cronulla.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.